You have a wish list and you have reality. How much do you think, David, of this, her plan is reality? How much can she really get done?
Well, look, it's all reality because the voters said that they wanted this platform and they wanted the people supporting it to be elected. So it's all real. The question is...
Well, I'm not quite sure. That may be taking a little step forward to say that the people voted for all of these things. I'm not sure when they went into the voting booth they were thinking about the inaction of the 9/11 Commission recommendation.
Well, I don't want to argue with you, but I do feel that every party has its platform. Let's just say this was part of the party platform.
And you think most voters, when they went into the voting booth, knew what this platform was? You don't think this was a vote on Iraq?
Well, Iraq was the leading issue. There's no doubt about it. But let's face it, there were a lot of issues that were on people's minds. You on this network put up a list of issues and how people rated them. Iraq was high up there, but so was the economy, and so was job security, so was health care and college education. They're all on that list.
Well, there they are. They were including corruption. They're concerned about terrorism.
Yes.
But again, I just want to make the point that there was nothing I saw in any exit polls that said to me that stem cell research was necessarily on the minds of all Americans all across the country.
Your question is a good one, though, which really goes to this. How much can the Democrats in Congress get done, right? I mean, it really comes down to what's doable and what's feasible. And I think what we're seeing now is a classic situation that the founders of our country set up, which is division of power between the executive and the legislative. There has to be horse trading there. That's the way it works. There's horse trading between the White House and the Congress. There's horse trading between the House and the Senate. It's that compromise that our our constitutional system of government really set up. So I believe the ball is squarely in President Bush's court.
All right, let me ask Carrie.
He wants to get these done.
Carrie, if it's squarely in President Bush's court, but we all know that compromise is always a two-way street. I don't know if you go to Vegas, but if you were a betting woman, what would you say the odds are that these two sides can come together after what has been some pretty tough years between the Republicans and the Democrats in Washington?
You know, I think there's a real possibility that they'll make some progress on some things that really have bipartisan support, some ethics reform, things like doing more to get rid of earmarks and things like that on budget process reform. But what I really think that we're going to see more of in the next few months is the Democrats are finally going to have to come out and talk a little bit about what their agenda is, because that list of things that Nancy Pelosi has put out as the so-called Democratic platform, boy, that misses a lot of the really big issues that are out there, from immigration to Social Security reform. These are things that the Democrats really avoided telling voters what their position is on. They've been, for the last few years, professional critics. It's much easier to be a critic than to offer their own proposals, and that's what the Democrats have to do now.
Carrie Lukas, David Goodfriend, it is going to be an interesting political post-election season. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. That's going to do it for this hour, but we want to remind you we are following the breaking news. Just learned within the last hour that this morning, CBS News veteran, 60 Minutes correspondent Ed Bradley died of leukemia. He was 65 years old. We're also keeping our eye on Kansas State University, where Donald Rumsfeld is speaking for the first time since resigning just 24 hours ago. Up next, a closer look at the man who's replacing him as defense secretary. Who is Bob Gates? An inside look is next with Rita Cosby.
The future holds